cause I don't give a fuck what you say. Yeah, I'ma do shit my way. So you can go kick rocks, I'ma stack bricks up, build what I want to make.
Yo, I got a lot of shit to say, so I'ma do this every day. I'll be writing things until I'm fucking buried in my grave.
Angeles. It's happened. Now, you may be wondering, hold on a minute. They've actually deployed, 700 Marines to the LA riots, which are ongoing right now. As of right now, it's about 5 p.m. in Los Angeles. If you're watching this live, not a whole lot is going on until it gets a little bit darker, but this is the beginning of something big. Some people think this may be Summer of Love 2.0, beginning of riot season. We don't know for sure, but there's a lot to this story. The Mexican president came out and said that these people, these Mexican illegal immigrants, are not criminals and that everyone should stand with them while the U.S. government is trying to expel non-citizens. I'd call that an invasion. So we're going to break all of this down for you, but what I will say off the bat is Insurrection Act. Well, I don't believe the Marines have been dispatched into the riots just yet. Trump is going to have to invoke the Insurrection Act if he wants to send these troops on the ground. But considering the Mexican president told people in this country to stand with her citizens who are here illegally in defiance of the federal government and the National Guard, I'd say, oh boy, that was a dumb thing to do. She does appear to be walking this back. Trump says Tom Homan should arrest Gavin Newsom. It was really funny, actually. And we're going to break all this down for you. We've got an expected mass protest next weekend as people are gearing up for riot season. And, oh boy. There's also some leaked audio from the DNC where apparently one of these guys was crying, which is going to be funny. We'll talk about all that. But before we get started, my friends, we got a great sponsor. It's Bearskin. Check it out. I'm wearing this right now, actually. Make sure you go to Bearskin Tactical or text 36912. And if you text Tim to that number, 36912, they're going to give you a link, which you can use whenever. So maybe you're driving the car right now, listening to the show, and you want to get one of these super cool jackets. It's actually really nice. That's why I'm wearing it. So I want to give a shout out to Bearskin. They sent us a bunch of these jackets, these raincoats, these fleeces. They actually can be combined into a heavy storm rain jacket combo. They're very, very comfortable. I'd say it's the best outdoor gear that I've got. And I'm really impressed with it. I think it's actually fantastic. So they also launched a new summer version of their hoodie. It's lighter, but just as tough. It's great for fishing, golfing, boating, flying. Perfect for vacations when you only want to take one jacket. And actually, the outer shell, it's really great because it was warm the other day, but raining. And so I got to wear that, They got 10 pockets in here, windsolation technology. If rain hits, you can just put on the heavy storm jacket. It's pretty good. You got free U.S. shipping and fast domestic delivery, a 60% discount running right now for you guys who text Tim to 36912. Again, that's text Tim to 36912. Look at this. I had this other hoodie, and everyone's like, what is that one? Now I have this one, and everyone's like, what is that one? Well, they sponsor the show. Bearskin, my friends. You can lock in the discount even if you're commuting or multitasking. So let's say maybe you're in the car, maybe you're busy. Just make sure you text that number on your phone. Come back to it later. Shout out, thanks for sponsoring the show. And also make sure you go to notsickofwinning.com and buy the book, Not Sick of Winning. It's celebrating Donald Trump's first 100 days. Michael Malice, why don't you tell us about this book?
I'm really excited to launch this book right here live on Timcast. I think one of the best things of Trump's presidency and his campaign, which we could all agree on, and is going to be a lasting thing, is that he tore down the idea of gatekeepers. Because 4 years ago, if 60 Minutes wants both the candidates to sit down, they've got the clout. And in 2024, the script was flipped, where Rogan's like, Kamala Harris, if you want to talk to me, you're getting your ass to Austin. I'm not getting a flight to wherever you are and giving you half an hour on your terms. So I'm launching this book today. It's a history of Trump's first 100 days. There's a different chapter for each of the days, so it's 100 short chapters. But my point with this is I'm doing this to screw over the corporate publishers. Because if I'm doing a book with Simon & Schuster or Penguin, it's going to come out in August or November. The thing that we can do now is get a book to market a lot faster than anybody else. And I want to see if we can get it live to make history, get it to #1 on Amazon during the show. We'll have updates throughout the show, but please go buy the book. I promise you'll enjoy it if you're a Trump fan.
Notsickofwinning.com. Now, let me just ask you real quick. You've got 100 chapters.
Yes.
And each chapter is explaining what he did on that day?
Yes, or his administration, right.
That's great.
And why it was awesome.
And why it was awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Here's the
That's
thing,
crazy.
And in all seriousness, we had a little bit of a hiccup this past week with the Elon stuff. I think it's easy to forget how he over-delivered. I think he's the first president in my lifetime, I think we all agree with this, who did better than we expected when he came in. So when you have it all in one thing, in one book, you realize, wait a minute, there was win after win after win, and we forget a lot of this stuff already. When I was editing it, I'm like, holy shit, there's a lot of good stuff in here.
Right on. Also, real quick, make sure you go to timcast.com, click join us, get in the Discord server. We have a Discord server. It's a community. It's a chat room. It's a club. There's numerous rooms. If you're trying to figure out where to get started on literally anything, writing a book maybe, maybe you want to get fit, work out, make a video game, maybe you just want to help people understand, maybe you know everything and you want to help other people. Community is everything. So we talk about this all the time. Like, don't be sitting around. You should be fit. You should be eating right. You might be thinking, yeah, I don't even know how to do that. There's tens of thousands of people hanging out in our Discord, and they want to be friends with you because people love sharing their knowledge. So we encourage you to get involved, because sitting in pubs and bars is how the Founding Fathers created a nation. If you guys are getting together and you're meeting, that's how these ideas come to fruition. It's how movements begin. And it's how we win a culture war. More importantly, you'll get to call in to our uncensored members-only show tonight at 10 p.m. So if you have questions, you want to sign up, you want to get in, now's the time. Don't forget to smash that like button, share the show with everyone. You know, take that URL, just blast it everywhere. Of course, Michael Malice is here.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm excited. I really hope we make history tonight and get me #1 on Amazon. And this is going to be a big shot across the bow for people back in New York in the publishing scene.
Is it
that their days are
Is
over?
it wrong to say it will trigger the libs as well?
This is the kind of book where if you gave it to like your shit lib, your crap lib mom, it'll make her really, really upset because you can't argue with a lot of the stuff he did. It's like the right. He did the right thing a lot of the time, and a lot of it's also really funny.
He's a funny guy.
There's a day we forget
like
this.
when he's calling, like right now when he called for Newsom to be arrested. It's a funny clip. He's such a funny guy. Anyway.
Well, what about when he said today is Gulf of America Day? Everyone should celebrate in appropriate ways. Like, what does that mean? Like, take a bath? But we forget this stuff. So that's why the book's all in
right on. Well, we got Shane hanging out.
What's up? Congrats on the book.
Thank you so much.
I love seeing people take on the corporate publishing world.
Right?
It's a snake pit. It's a
don't
terrible
even get me
industry.
started.
I know you know. Yeah, I am Shane Cashman, host of Inverted World Live. We go live at 10 o'clock Monday through Thursday, right after this show. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that might surprise you. The government has been lying to you.
Get out of here, Shane.
I know. People watching are surprised, but the Pentagon we just found out through some reports that they've been lying about UFOs to cover up military tech, like Lockheed Skunk Works stuff. So we're gonna talk about that. And thank you for the raids and all that stuff. It was a really awesome first week. Appreciate it.
And let me add something to your story. My grandfather was an air traffic controller in the Soviet Union.
Whoa.
And he said we saw UFOs all the time.
Whoa.
So this is not just crazy random drunk people like they try to make it out to be. These are high quality professionals who look at these screens all day and they know when something's up.
And who wouldn't trust a communist?
Well, he wasn't a communist. How dare you? I'm serious. Whoa. You don't call my grandfather a communist.
All right, take it back.
Yeah.
Soviet.
Michael's about to leave.
No. That's my grandfather. You don't call him a communist. Rest in peace. Yes.
I am Phil That Remains. My name's Phil Labonte. I'm lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I got so wrapped up in the communist talk. Let's get into it.
Here's a story from the Post Millennial. Breaking: 700 Marines deployed to Los Angeles in support role amid crackdown on anti-ICE riots. They report U.S. Northern Command announced on Monday that 700 Marines are being activated to protect federal personnel property in L.A. as the California city has experienced violent anti-immigrant and immigration customs enforcement riots. So we actually have this posted by Disclosed TV. It's a press release. U.S. Northcom statement on additional military personnel. They say U.S. Northern Command has activated the Marine Infantry Battalion that was placed in an alert status over the weekend. Approximately 700 Marines with 2nd Battalion, 7th Marines, 1st Division will seamlessly integrate with the Title X forces under Task Force 51, who are protecting federal personnel and federal property in the greater Los Angeles area. The activation of the Marines is intended to provide Task Force 51 with adequate numbers of forces to provide continuous coverage of the area in support of the lead federal agency. Task Force 51 is U.S. Army North's Contingency Command Post, which provides a rapidly deployable capability to partner with civil authorities and DoD entities in response to a Homeland Defense and Homeland Security operations. It is commanded by Major General Scott M. Sherman. Task Force 51 is comprised of approximately 2,100 National Guard soldiers in a Title X status and 700 active duty Marines. Task Force 51 forces have been trained in de-escalation, crowd control, and standing rules for the use of force. Now, I will stress for those that are watching live, while all of this news is breaking, the riots are ongoing. However, right now it's 5 or so p.m. in Los Angeles. It's daylight, so largely people are just standing around. But I will stress, over the weekend, they were torching Waymos. Waymo is pulling.
Were they
out-
really?
Yeah, they were stopping the
Why
Waymos.
Why Waymos?
Why not?
Why anything?
Well, no, I mean, are they targeting Waymos? Is
Yes.
what I'm asking. Okay.
Because they're easy targets. They
Well, I
come
think
to you,
is it that
you
a
know.
lot of these guys are doing like Lyft and Uber, and Waymo's putting them out of business?
No, they can just call a Waymo and it pulls
that's-
up. Free car to distribute.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was giving him too much logic.
They summon it. It drives
I got
up,
you. Yep.
and you stand in front of it. It won't move.
You know, Waymo saved my life, but we'll get to that later.
Wow. Well, so I will stress this. This is important. These Marines are being deployed to federal facilities to protect them. I think that bypasses posse comitatus because they're not actively engaging in law enforcement. They're just personnel dispatched to a federal facility. If Trump or Hegseth or anybody is to send them to the streets, I think they'd have to invoke the Insurrection Act. Or we also have another story we'll get into a little bit with the Mexican president saying that the people targeted by ICE are not criminals and that people in general should stand with Mexican nationals in the United States. I'd say it's a formal, or I should say I think it's a declaration of invasion. I mean, look, we can state the president that we expect decorum where the Mexican president says, I hereby declare invasion of the United States and sends out a flyer. But if a foreign president says, my citizens in your country should be protected and are allowed to be there, that's declaring that you're telling your people to do this. If that is the case, that foreign nationals are being advocated for by the foreign nationals' government, and many of these people are flying Mexican flags, Trump's going to say, this is not local law enforcement. Marines are being dispatched because an invasive force is in our country, and that he would not need the Insurrection Act for.
Am I the only person here who's an immigrant, by the way?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Surge.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's African American. You can't tell.
It bothers me when people are immigrants and they're not waving the American flag. Like in my sheath ad, I'm draped in the American flag. It's kind of ironic. It's like a boxing thing, but it's also not ironic. Like, you're here. This place gave you a home. The thing that really kind of makes me laugh about all the Jew hate is that they're like America first, except for these college students who hate Israel. It's like, no. You're here. You're in some other. When I was in North Korea, you better believe I was on my best behavior and minding my P's and Q's and acting, appropriately. So if this country has put a roof over your head, giving you opportunities, giving you safety, you don't have to worry about being decapitated by a gang, a little bit of gratitude would go a long way. And it's kind of scary that saying this is like some kind of crazy far-right point of view.
This is the first time that I've ever seen, or that I can recall seeing, these types of protests about immigration or illegal immigration, where there were people that were openly flying the Mexican flag. Now, maybe it has happened and I'm unaware of it, but this, to my recollection, is a totally new dynamic where people are literally anti-America while they stand in America and demand that America
Do you know what
allow
it
them
is?
to
It's
stay.
because it trickles down from the universities where loving the flag and loving
agree.
America is something to be embarrassed about. So that what happens is these kids go to college, some of them, they go back to their communities, they teach them these leftist values, and then it ends up with people on Facebook. I've seen this. They go to Mount Rushmore, they're giving the finger to those four presidents. It's like, what are you doing?
I was talking with Julio Rosas, who's on the ground, and he was breaking it down like, look, he's an American. He was born in America. I think he's got relatives, of course, that are Mexican. And he said a lot of these people, they're raised by parents who are legal immigrants.
Right.
They're given citizenship status, so they can't be deported. But their culture and their worldview is Mexico. It's Mexican. So what you're seeing on the ground are American citizens waving Mexican flags. This is one of the biggest problems with birthright citizenship.
Yes.
These people have no allegiance to America.
Yep.
They vacation in Mexico. Their relatives are in Mexico. They send money to Mexico, but because they were born here, they get a protected status as citizens, and then they act to subvert and defy the will of the American people.
That was one of the things that was the most objectionable about what Scheinbaum said. She said that she had a problem with taxing on remittances, which is like, I mean, look, if you're going to say, look, Mexicans that are in America, there's a special history, and
Sure.
you should blah blah blah. That's fine. Totally understand that, and I might even be sympathetic to the argument, even though I would still be like, look, if they're here illegally, they got to go. But the fact of the matter is, she was talking about remittances, where it's like, look, this is an economic statement on her part,
yes.
and it's absolutely like, in my opinion, Americans should look at that and be offended. But that she would have the audacity to say that you should allow Mexican nationals to be in your country, break the law, misbehave, act the way they do, and then when you even talk about taxing remittances, money sent from your country, literally drained from your country and sent to Mexico, she's going to act like it's somehow, like that is somehow acceptable, international diplomacy or whatever.
Maybe she should focus on overseeing her country that had 30 assassinations of presidential candidates just last year.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think at least 30.
Well, they weren't. They weren't all
presidential candidates.
No, they were.
Or they were like
all
other
in the
politicians.
government, but 30, like 26 or something like that.
I don't know, man. You're trying to. Now I'm kind of on their side.
Okay, so let's
You're kind of making me feel like a Mexican now.
so with these riots,
Spoken like an immigrant.
a Democrat governor coalition has come out and said, Trump, back off, don't do this. My argument is, and I say I'm correct, of course, Democrats are, well, I mean, argue with me.
In my opinion, aka the Holy Scriptures.
Well, I think that, look, there are some instances where I would say, like, I could be wrong about this.
Sure.
No, I'm saying this is just my view as breaking everything down, but I think it's spot on. Democrats are intentionally standing down. The rioters are effectively corsairs for the Democrats and the California government. The government can't dispatch police to actively defy ICE, but they can dispatch rioters and allow them to wreak havoc, preventing mass deportations, because Democrats get an estimated 10 to 25 extra congressional votes and votes for the president by having illegal immigrants in sanctuary states. So when Donald Trump says we are going to mass deport everybody, the Democratic machine, especially California with 52 congressional seats and EC votes, is saying, how do we stop Trump? We can't send law enforcement to stop him. That would be a crisis, a serious one. We can incite and aggravate riots intentionally and then stand down and let them obstruct Trump, effectively acting as privateers. I think that's the goal.
Well, there's a couple other things. First of all, 2020 worked very well for them. When you had all this mass unrest throughout the country, it led to President Biden being in the White House. And I think what they don't realize is they're not quick on the uptake, right? And in 2020, we all remember those times. If President Trump had sent in the troops, the media was waiting to call him an authoritarian strongman Hitler. They were waiting. We all saw it. And I don't know who got to him, but he was smart enough to sit in his hands and say, I'll send the troops if you ask, but I'm not doing it otherwise, which was a smart move. This is not 2020 anymore. When Trump sends in these troops for things like this, everyone, or the huge majority of the other side, the way it was in 2020, are going to be on Trump's side. It's not going to be viewed as some kind of insane Mussolini power grab. It'll be like, it's ridiculous that you're an illegal immigrant and you have the right to like ride in the streets and cause unrest.
Look at Abrego Garcia. He's back.
Yeah, well,
he's back in the United States.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Standing trial for human trafficking in Nashville.
I thought he was writing.
No.
He's in LA.
Nope. They brought him to Nashville because he's charged with trafficking thousands of individuals.
Yeah.
And Trump was like, it wasn't my decision. I don't think he should have come back.
I agree.
But the DOJ wanted to bring him back, and they're wasting our money.
I don't think they wanted to. I think they were forced to, don't you?
Well, the argument was Trump could pressure El Salvador into releasing him, but he's under no obligation to engage in foreign policy of that nature.
Sure.
So while the Supreme Court said he should facilitate the return, he said no. He ultimately said the DOJ made the decision to bring him back, but he was charged with human trafficking. So I think the political play there is completely defang the left's argument now, because while they're calling it a victory, the response is going to be a human trafficker on trial for human trafficking was defended and protected by Democrats. So what this is a manipulation that we see quite a bit. Like the alt-right campaign from 2016 is a really good example of this. The media had been referring to anybody who supported Trump as alt-right,
Yes.
using the phrase alt-right as a reference to a new right, a kind of anti-establishment right-wing cohort.
Someone should write a book about that.
And then a year later, they said actually alt-right means white nationalist.
Right. Yeah.
The AP issued a style guide, so that meant people like Jack Posobiec or anybody
Cernovich,
who had said, I agree with this new alternative to the right, you could go back in time and apply their statement to the new definition and say, aha, they admitted to being white supremacists. That's the game that's being played effectively by the Trump administration. Abrego Garcia gets deported. The Democrats defend him all crazy. Then you bring him back with human trafficking charges and say, remember when they were defending this guy who was charged with human trafficking?
Well, here's the other good play, because there are a lot of people in conservative circles that I don't agree with, and I doubt most people in this room don't agree with as well. The idea that like Trump should just say "screw you," the courts, and that is a very slippery slope, because in 4 years, or 8 years, or 12 years from now, there's going to be a Democratic president, and you do not want that Democratic president to be like, I don't care what the Supreme Court says. We're going to have digital ID, or we're going to have some kind of lockdown, so on and so forth. So for Trump to reach a point where he's going to say "screw you" to the Supreme Court, he should really play that card when he needs to, if he needs to, God hoping he doesn't, and not over just one dude. So when we saw this, the New York Times, all these others foaming at the mouth, Trump hates the legal system, this is a banana republic. He's like, oh, no, you want him? You got him. He's just going to jail. But I'm listening to the Supreme Court.
Let's jump to this story. We have this from Live Mint. Quote, migrants are not criminals. Mexico President Claudia Sheinbaum criticizes L.A. raids. This is insane. This is the escalation. This is what formalizes an invasion.
Wait, can I just say one more thing? Sure, but deportation's not a jail sentence.
Yeah.
You're not treating them like criminals.
You're
not putting them in jail.
But this is why I'm saying it's an invasion.
Right.
We have seen this debate from the left and the right about whether or not people illegally entering from the southern border is an invasion. And you've got these prominent liberals saying invasion means a foreign military sending people, blah, blah, blah. And the right has argued they are marching with their flags. Well, now we have it. The president of Mexico has said, quote, Mexicans living in the United States are good men and women, honest people who went to the United States to seek a better life for themselves and to support their families. They are not criminals. They are good men and women, she said in a speech. She also stated that multiple Mexicans were arrested in the ongoing immigration raids conducted by ICE officials. The count, as suggested by her, currently stands around 35. During her moving speech, she asked everyone to stand by the arrested Mexicans. So let me stress this. She is acknowledging they are not American citizens. They are her citizens, Mexican nationals, illegally in this country, arrested by our law enforcement, and she's calling on people to defend them. So when they're out in the streets flying Mexican flags with the support of the Mexican president, who's calling on more people who are actively rioting against our National Guard and law enforcement, Trump should say, that's it. That is a formal declaration, and it's enough. Dispatch the Marines and start deporting and getting everybody out.
I think I disagree with you slightly. I think before he goes to 10, he should let this play out. Because it was that Rahm Emanuel said, never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yeah.
These optics are playing very well for the Republicans, because the big swing demographic in elections is Karen. It's white suburban women. And white suburban women do not like rioting. They do not like people flying foreign flags. They don't like they just worry about the grocery issues.
Agreed. Let me clarify. The next direct granular move Trump makes is coming out and saying, I am shocked to hear the president of Mexico calling for an escalation of riots in this country to protect her citizens who are illegally in our country.
That's the move, yes.
That's the move. And then, of course,
you can always go up, but you can't go down.
When he needs to use the military to remove criminal illegal aliens in this country, she just gave him the pretext under the Alien Enemies Act. There was a debate. So the debate for the Alien Enemies Act is that the law requires that a foreign government or collective force is invading your country. Two arguments were used. One, that these narco gangs and cartels are effectively organized bodies that constitute, declaration under the Alien Enemies Act. But many argued they have to be in collusion with a nation state.
Yeah,
But the argument was Venezuela is intentionally sending Tren de Aragua to the United States. Ergo, we can target them under this law because it is a semi-official act of government. Now you have the Mexican president who's made the statement. These are good people seeking a better life, and I call on people to stand with them. Now Trump can say Mexico's effectively sanctioned the illegal immigration into our country.
I talk about that Insurrection Act in the book because maybe I'm too much of an anarchist, but to me I don't really see the distinction in any sense between, like when Russia is sending over troops to America or Japan is bombing Pearl Harbor, and a private gang, which is running a huge section of Venezuela, is sending its members to infiltrate and seize American land and take it under its thumb. I mean, it's effectively the same thing.
It's like the argument with Ukraine right now, where all the liberals always say, the U.S. isn't there. And I said, you're right. The U.S. veterans who are operating as private military contractors in the volunteer force who receive cash from Ukraine, which is actually cash from the United States, and then the United States sends special forces down and tells a Ukrainian soldier, here's a missile, press that button and you'll blow up that ship from Russia. And they say, that's not the United States. No one buys that. We're not kindergartners. Do you think Russia's sitting there being like, drat, America's not doing it because someone else pressed the button?
I mean, this is a thing with World War II. You know, all these things. It's like, at what point as aid become you're actually a member of the opposing side?
Wasn't the Insurrection Act started because of Mexico too?
Was it? It was
Aaron
1798,
Burr.
wasn't it?
Well, the 1807 one.
Okay.
What was the Insurrection
1798,
Act of
yeah.
1807?
Insurrection Act of 1807. Let's see.
Aaron
the
Burr
purpose.
was going to take over Mexico or something.
There's rumors that he was trying to do that.
Yeah.
It's still not clear.
There was like some guy who turned on him, right?
Right, yeah.
Let's see.
I could have sworn it was 1798.
I think it went through a few different
iterations. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you, Shane.
I'm pretty sure you're right because I was reading about both of them today. Let me see if because that's why they are distinct. Let's see. Insurrection Act 1798. Is it right?
Yeah. That number's in my head for some reason.
That was, I think, that's the Alien and Seditions Act.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Insurrection Act of 1807 and the Alien Sedition, yeah. So they're different. I think Insurrection Act was 1807.
Okay.
Aaron
Oh,
Burr was
nope,
just
nope.
super mad.
I was technically wrong. You were technically wrong. We were all technically right. 1792. It was
Okay.
called the Calling Forth Act of 1792. The Insurrection Act replaced that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were looking for a way to stop Aaron Burr for taking over.
We were talking a bit before we started, Aaron. I'd love to hear people's thoughts on this. I don't understand her play here. Like, who is this helping?
No
Well,
idea.
she's backtracked.
Okay.
Check this out. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum reacts to LA ICE protests. This was from later in the day. So about 12 hours later, she says, we do not agree with violent actions as a form of protest. Burning police cars appears to be more than an act of provocation than of resistance. We condemn violence no matter where it comes from. We call on the Mexican community to act pacifically and not allow itself to be provoked. However, a day ago, she praised them.
Hold on. You got to pause there. Not allowing itself to be provoked. What she's laying the groundwork for is that if they start burning down things, it's not our fault. You push us into it.
Yeah.
But they do mention, this is Fox 11, a day ago, she praised the contributions of Mexicans in LA, saying they were good, honest men and women who left to seek a better life for themselves and support their family. LA wouldn't be what it was if it weren't for the Mexicans who live there.
That's true.
So the
It's
hellhole?
true. You can't deny it. Like, there's
No,
a
I
big
know.
Mexican influence on LA.
A lot of burritos there.
I think this later statement is that she's realizing by defending the people that are here illegally, she's effectively sanctioned an invasion, no matter how small or how big Trump wants to view it as. How many Mexican illegal immigrants come to this country, and she's publicly declared to the world they're good, should be supported, and it's a just thing to do. They're just I'm sorry. You know what my point on this was? They're just seeking a better life. Okay, the majority of conflicts are because people are quote unquote seeking a better life. Like when Genghis Khan invaded and conquered a bunch of lands, or when the Vikings raided the British Isles. It was because they wanted something that would make their lives better.
Yeah, there's no question that I don't think anyone, no matter how nativist you are, denies that the majority of immigrants aren't going to be like murderers and rapists. The numbers just don't up. No one's denying this. The point is, at a certain point, you can only integrate so many people, and there's only so much physical space for them. And you have to draw the line somewhere. It's not complicated.
The argument that we make on this, that we discuss most frequently on the show, is the argument about the census and about representative government.
That's right, yeah.
You know, the people that are coming into the United States, if you are coming here illegally and you are counted in the census, then you affect how the representatives in Congress are apportioned, how that happens, and that's diluting the voting power of citizens that have been here all their lives, that didn't want you to come to the United States. You came illegally, and that's wrong to the existing citizens.
Yes. And by the way, when people yell at me for not voting, I just realized this in the last month. My new line I'm going to say something, getting stupid arguments with them, is I don't think immigrants should be allowed to vote. Sorry, folks.
I'm an immigrant, so.
Yep.
But it's true.
True.
The fact that this is diluting the voting power of the American citizen is the biggest problem.
The biggest problem, in my opinion, and I think you'd agree, is birthright citizenship. It makes no sense.
I do
Just
agree.
because you're born on American soil does not make you an American. There should be a process. There's a process for my family. And if part of that process was I can become a certain type of citizen, a second-class citizen, and I can't vote or I can't do this, and that, that's fine. there's plenty of people in awful countries who are like, you know what? I'll put in the 10 years. It's so much better to what I came from. If I can't vote, so much the better. I can stop free speech.
The example that I always give is that if you live in an apartment with a roommate and then one day a guy's sleeping on your couch, and so you say, okay, fine, it's okay that he crashes here for a little bit. The next person who shows up, you say, you know what, I'm putting my foot down. Guy on the couch and your roommate both raise their hand. We vote, he can come in. 2 against 1. What's happening in this country, we are watching American citizens, these are American citizens, largely flying the Mexican flags.
Because they feel safe, and they're correct to feel safe.
They can't be deported. They're Americans, but they're allegiant to Mexico. Well, I got news. Sooner or later, when there is an actual, like right now, let me just say this. It's all interpretable, and it's all how history will dictate, and that means whoever wins is going to get it. Trump can say the Mexican president has aided and abetted illegal immigration and invasion into our country. Americans who are, if you are firebombing federal law enforcement, that's sedition. That is a seditious conspiracy against federal law enforcement, against a foreign invasive force. There's going to be severe penalties for that. That's like 10 years in prison.
Can I make everyone in this room very scared and blackpill them? Because there's a part to the story that people might be too young to realize. Phil, I'm sure you're going to remember this. I'm not trying to be mean. The last Republican governor of before Schwarzenegger, sorry, the second to last Republican governor of California was Pete Wilson. And there was a referendum on the ballot. I forget what it was. It was 11, I think it was. And the bill it passed, and it said you can't use, I don't remember exactly.
You can't use public funds for non-citizens.
Not as citizens. And this was supposed to be California's last stand. We're getting overrun. If you want to be here, fine. You're not going to get the largesse of the Californian government since you're not paying in. The court struck it down. And as a consequence of that, California, which was heavily purple, has gone extremely blue.
That was the last time I ever voted red.
Right. And the concern is if Trump doesn't make this stick, California, which has in many other ways been like a laboratory for the rest of the country, can be a premonition for what's yet to come.
In fact, many American historians, writers, journalists, whatever you call it, say that California is usually 5 years ahead of the rest of the country. What happens there will happen to the rest of the country. But the story with Reagan, I believe it was like amnesty in 1986. He was president. He signed it.
Right.
So there were 2.9 million illegal immigrants who were overnight granted this amnesty. In 1994, I think it was, is when they said, we want to ban public funds for non-citizens. Right. Well, guess what? The people granted amnesty and their children who were granted amnesty said, you're going to take money away from my aunt, my uncle, my dad, my mom? No. And so they all flipped and voted for the Democrats, who promised to make sure illegal immigrants could still get your public funds. That is what happens. And right now, take a look at this photo. This is the iconic photo from the riots just the other day of black smoke as a man waves a Mexican flag. These people, there's a video of a man burning an American flag saying, that's not my flag. These people don't even want American citizenship.
Yeah.
They were born here and they're like, they gave it to me. I never asked for it. They've been protesting in the streets of California, make Mexico again. I'm not exaggerating.
Well, that's been a thing for a minute. Yeah.
I've witnessed this.
Oh, yeah. I've seen
in San Jose at a Trump rally where they were mercilessly beating people in the streets, they were holding up those signs saying, make California Mexico again. They argue that after it was Mexican American was 1835 or something. Then the U.S. basically took all this land from Mexico.
Yeah.
And that California is actually theirs and has been the whole time.
Mexico owned like that portion of land for like 20 years. It's been part of America for like 10 times longer than Mexico ever, like than it was ever part of Mexico.
I just had a great idea that might solve everything.
All right.
Let's make California Gaza. It would solve a lot of problems.
But what do you,
Michael's about to sail there.
Functionally, what do you mean by that?
Oh, I think you all know what I mean.
I
think you know exactly what I mean.
I think we should have invaded California a long time ago.
Right.
Like I was
blockade it.
I was going down memory lane just the last few years. Here's some: Maxine Waters inciting political violence, Eric Swalwell sleeping with a Chinese spy, Kamala Harris Bonnie bluing her way into power. They were arresting surfers while lockdowns were happening. Nancy Pelosi getting her hair done during lockdowns. The skate parks filled with sand was insane. Hollywood was allowed to do its thing while churches were shut down. Yep. And they had secret Chinese police stations in L.A. and San Francisco. Like, this is not America.
To be fair, those secret Chinese police stations all over the country.
They were in Nebraska. Yeah. They were in New York City.
What do you mean secret Chinese police?
China set up what were like private organizations to police Chinese individuals in this country.
That's that a bad thing?
They created a shadow government to enforce laws that aren't on the American books.
Wait, but so their job is to make sure Chinese people don't break the law?
Don't
They
bring
were
China.
their own
well,
stuff. Like they were
Chinese
people
laws.
who would go against the CCP.
Yes.
I don't hate it.
So if you're an
You
American,
should hate that.
if you're a Chinese person in the United
a
States,
Chinese citizen or Chinese person?
a Chinese person,
Okay, but non-citizen.
not a citizen.
Okay.
And let's say you fled China to come to the
Sure,
United
sure.
They would come and they'd beat and drag you because they're not arresting you. They have no authority to do that. They would detain you under their authority in the United States. Let's jump to this next story from the Post Millennial. Breaking: President Trump says Gavin Newsom should be arrested amid LA riots. Okay, first of all, the weirdest thing happened with Gavin Newsom where he's being interviewed and he goes, what are you going to do, Tom Homan? Arrest me? I'd like to see that. You know, come on, I can take it.
Did he really?
Yes. Remember Mel Gibson on South Park where he was like, what are you going to do? I don't want to be too crass, so maybe I shouldn't get into it. But he was like, I can take it. Stick it in there. Come on. Is that what you think you're going to do? This is what I get from Gavin Newsom. Maybe they have the video. I don't know. Where he's like, arrest me. I can take it. So here's the video of Trump. Here you go.
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. I would do it. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look, I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget. I always do under budget.
Wait, we're at a point where Trump sounds like he's doing a Trump impression. Right? Everybody knows the railroad.
I would do it if I were Tom. I think he's great.
like-
Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's like, look, I like Gavin, but arrest him. It'd be hilarious. Just arrest him. It'd be funny. Great if you do it.
He swore an oath. It's not for his friends.
That's right.
Wow.
I mean, I think it'd be kind of like it would be great for Gavin Newsom if he was arrested, if Trump arrested him.
You know he's got arrest.
Pardon me?
You know who he's got
Let me
arrest.
play the clip for
Hold
you.
on. Karen Bass.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's who you got to arrest.
Yeah, she's burnt down the city twice now.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen to this.
Has been here 10 years. The fear, the horror.
The
The
self-righteousness.
hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. You know, I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop.
Grow up. What does that mean?
And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
Well, I love the idea that kind of bloviating is exhausting, but this kind of bloviating, that's the stuff you want.
I got to be honest. From the way he was saying, "Arrest me, Tom. Come on," I feel like he's into it. Like in the wrong kind. You know?
It'll help his campaign.
It
Well,
would
I
be
don't
the
mean that.
best for him.
I think he's looking at Tom, being like, "That's the kind of guy I want to cuff me."
Oh, boy.
Well, we know, okay, so we know that Gavin Newsom is Eskimo Brothers with Junior.
Yes.
Because Gavin Newsom used to be married to Kilmer Guilfoyle.
Yeah.
Right, who's now the ambassador to Greece. So I think it's pretty given that any
It sounds so much dirtier now when you put it like
But
that.
it's true.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty much a given that any political figure has got to be a pervert behind closed walls, and that's not kink shaming. But
Come on, Tom. I can take it. Arrest me.
You know he would love to be handcuffed and that hair carefully mussed, a little bit of a broken lip.
It would be the best thing for his career.
It's
this
just
year.
Yeah.
It's just the oh no, don't. Like we get it, Gavin. You want him to arrest you.
You know what I think it is? I think he's seen the same numbers everyone in this room has, and he sees his path to the nomination in 2028 is not as clear as he imagined it would have been.
Yeah.
I see all the polls I've seen him shockingly of all the Democrats he polls the worst, which you would think because he's so slick that he'd do well, and it's not flying.
Well, I think they should arrest him, but not for this. They should, like, if Tom Homan came out and said, "Okay, Gavin, we're gonna come in and we're gonna execute a warrant. Have you arrested? How's that sound?" And then Gavin's like, "Okay, come do it." Then they should go through his personal belongings and then arrest him on, like a drug charge or something, like totally unrelated.
Wait, can we say something else though? He saw what happened that getting arrested did for Trump.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's just playing the same. He's like, wait a minute, if it worked for Trump, it'll work for me.
It'd be great for his
won't.
podcast.
Yeah. They still have it? They're still doing it?
I don't know, but like they should arrest him, but do it totally in secret, so he gets no publicity,
walk?
no perp walk,
Like with Epstein,
and then
yeah.
they could deny it. Just throw him away for a while and say, I don't know where he went.
Or they can arrest him and charge him with something absolutely insane related to like just
Well, trying to overturn the election?
something ridiculous. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, what?
Being a demon.
I don't think he's charismatic enough to be a demon.
Oh, he's a demon.
No, he's not.
I've been in a room with that guy. He smells like sulfur.
Well, that's because he took the shower here.
Yeah.
Nobody has any idea what that means, Michael.
Well, the water here in Springfield has sulfur in it. I don't want to give up the location.
Springfield.
It has sulfur in it. So, yeah.
Springfield, West Virginia.
Okay, I don't know. I know how secretive you're being.
It's really funny
sure there's a
because
Springfield.
all the country folk heard, the sulfur thing, and they laughed because city folk, not like I'm special, but the people who come out here from the city are shocked to find that water smells funny. And it's the funniest thing about it is when they go to the bathroom, someone will wash their hands and walk out of the bathroom, and they'll walk in and go, whoa, turn the fan on or light a match. And it's like, bro, that's the sink, not the toilet.
Yeah.
You're just smelling sulfur and well water. Calm down. It's like you never gone to a lake house? What are you doing?
No, he's a demon, dude. He's slick. Not all demons are charming.
No, yeah, but
Straight up.
no, maybe, but a lesser demon.
Well,
I don't
okay,
think
hold on.
like an
he's
imp.
evil enough.
Guys-
He's just a slime.
Well, there's
Listen,
levels
hey.
to demons.
yeah.
it-
You're going to
listen.
tell me about levels to demons?
Yeah, let's talk about levels to
Are you
demons.
serious?
Demon or reptile person?
Yeah.
Thin line, Phil. That's a thin
You think
line.
he's
No,
immortal?
because demons are
Immortal?
spiritual creatures.
not a
And
spiritual
Wait.
evil.
Hold on. I'm with Mike on this one. Reptilians, like when you describe someone as reptilian, they're not good at social behaviors. They're weird and cold and they lack emotion. Demons can convince you to sell your soul. They're very
I
charming
think the
and
reptiles are demons. Reptiles are demons.
Okay.
Definitely.
Someone needs a dictionary.
Definitely.
bro, are you kidding?
Someone needs a Bible.
The reptiles are from Zeta Reticuli.
That's why I smell like sulfur.
They're
I
aliens.
touched one.
The reptiles are at best interdimensional beings, not demons.
I've seen him put on his skin suit at the presidential debate, and then he
That means
was
he's
like,
a reptile, not a demon.
hold on.
Demon.
Thank you.
Demon hiding.
Gavin Newsom puts on his skin suit one leg at a time, just like all the other reptiles.
Reptiles. One tail at a time.
One scale at a time.
One tail at a time. Oh, yeah. I can't believe it. Demons to me speak of power and danger. He does not seem powerful, dangerous.
But there's demons who are low level, like
Even the
working,
low-level
operating
ones.
behind
Yeah,
7-Elevens, trying to get children. And there's demons in politics.
I don't
There's
think
demons
he's
like
that.
Ted Bundy, and I think he's definitely.
I would trust
no.
Gavin Newsom to babysit my nephews.
Wait, I got it.
What?
I don't think
I
he's
would
like that.
definitely
I got it. He's a familiar.
Who's the witch though?
Well, no, he's a
Pelosi.
demon's familiar.
No, the witches have familiars.
So it's
Am I the only one here who played D&D who had no friends as a kid?
I play D&D.
Thank you.
You could be a demon slave.
You
Whatever.
can't be a demon's familiar. A familiar is
I
someone
get it.
earthborn.
Okay, fine. He
You
sold
don't
his.
get it.
He sold his soul to a demon. There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
That's to make him a demon.
Right. Agreed.
We're on
we can all agree
We're
on
in
that.
agreement as to the magical implications of Gavin Newsom's personality.
That just made him the mayor of San Francisco and the governor of California for however long he has been. That's how he achieved these
6 years. Yeah.
these great results.
Yeah.
These feats. So, but I look. I don't.
Oh wait a
It
minute.
just-
Maybe you're saying that Kimberly Guilfoyle's the witch. Maybe he was her familiar.
Maybe.
She seems nice.
I
yeah,
wouldn't be
but
surprised.
I don't think she's a witch at all.
I like Don Jr. So
Well,
that's why they broke up.
They split up.
I know, but like even then, it's like, oh, Don's cool though.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah,
Which
Gavin
can be
Newsom.
tricky, though.
I got to be honest though, like outside of all the weird, joking, magical stuff, it is kind. It
Me
is.
neither.
I'm not joking. I'm not.
Okay.
Hold on. Can I say one thing, and then you're going to agree with me? I'm not joking that I think there are demons walking among us who commit evil things that someone like Gavin Newsom would never do.
I agree. And you know what? We've talked about demons and stuff before. I was talking to Jack Posobiec, and I said, telling me that like Jesus resurrected doesn't convince me of Christianity, but telling me there are demons does.
But I think there would be demons in power who would destroy entire states.
But they're not going to be like him. They're going to be behind the scenes.
But I think he fetishizes the destruction and chaos and what he
don't
did to
think
California all these years.
But my point is, I have met people that defy logic as to their evil.
Phil?
Who?
Phil?
Oh no, Phil's not. Phil's not evil.
Not evil.
Phil's a paladin.
Is he?
He's a knight of righteous.
I feel like we're too short to be paladins.
Some kind of bard, I think.
No, man.
I'm thinking.
Bard, yes, they are.
Yeah.
There are
I'm a
people
musician.
that I cannot believe the levels of evil. And obviously, when you look at Epstein, you're like, oh, you mean demons? Yeah. Obviously, there are greater demons of power of pure evil and things like that. I'm talking about there are regular people who would like just push you in front of a car for they are seeking to do evil at any level
own
possible
sake.
for fun, for demonic pleasure. And it's crazy how in the past several years it seems to have become more and more pronounced.
I think people are more because Hollywood teaches us since we're kids that like evil people, you could spot them on sight. And now I think thanks to social media, you're like, wait, people do the kinds of evil things that you don't hear about in movies. I think I talked about last time I was here. Heard this story. It's on YouTube. I think about it like once a week. This mom and her teenage son, there was a kid, the other son, and he had to sleep under the stairs. The only food he was given was bread with the hottest hot sauce. He had to sit immobile, and if he moved, they had motion detector. They put him in ice baths and they killed him.
Oh, right, yeah.
And and it's like that's demonic activity. Who's helping?
Yep.
Right.
That's not just child abuse.
I actually, I don't know. I don't think I'd say enough to believe, but it certainly feels plausible that there has been an increase in some kind of evil possession over the past decade plus, where it's become profoundly. You look at some of these protest videos, you look at some of the behaviors that people engage in, you look, man, I don't want to get into the personal stuff for me, but I have witnessed things that shock the soul as to the
Sure.
And I'm like, people that I've known my whole life doing things with Kubrick stares. It's like you can argue they had a psychotic break and want to be demons, or there's something else spiritual that has infected their souls. I don't know.
It's all of it. You know, it's like when I was out with Alex Rosen catching those
my
child
gosh,
predators.
yeah.
You know, and like this man was a demon. Like he was about to walk away with an 11-year-old girl. He was a straight up demon.
See, I think there's two kinds of predators.
Yeah.
There's people who are victims themselves and they kind of pass it on, and there's people who do evil for the sake of evil.
But I think those people, it's like a possession has passed on.
Something's
you know,
going on
like
there.
because a lot of these people were victims
yeah,
themselves from their childhood.
Let's jump to the story from the Post Millennial. Waymo pulls self-driving cars out of downtown LA after 5 torched by rioters. The company said that it removed its vehicles from downtown LA and would not be serving that area out of an abundance of caution. Autonomous taxi service Waymo suspending its service. Per the Washington Post, the company said that it has removed its vehicles from downtown LA. Footage from the streets of LA showed rioters attacking the self-driving vehicles in the street, with one being seen on the roof of the car, hitting it with a skateboard. Another car was seen on fire as rioters posed in front of it for photos. Well, what I will say about Waymo is that I used it when I was in LA, and I did not enjoy it. It dropped me off the wrong location every time. And when it dropped us off, Sean and I, it dropped us off on the side of the road, like a busy street. It just pulled up, it just slowed down in the middle of a road. And then just said, "You're at your destination." I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not getting out in the road. What?
I think Waymo kind of saved my life because the first time I'm not even kidding. Watch, I'll tell you the story. The first time I was in a Waymo, I recorded it and I put it on Instagram. I was so excited. And all the comments were like, "You sound like a pug. Are you pleasuring yourself in there? Why are you breathing so heavy?"
What?
And I listened to it and I was breathing very heavily, which was very disturbing to me. And I went to an ENT and that's how I learned I had sleep apnea.
Oh, all right. Okay.
And after that, I got the machine, and it's a very dangerous thing to have because when you're asleep several times a night, you're choking.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't wake up, or it gets you so depressed and anxious, you start having severe cognitive distortions. So that Waymo was a major benefit to
And
me.
you're sleeping
And
well
No,
now,
because
right?
you
And
were
also-
filming the Waymo, like
I
look
was
at this.
inside it.
Right, and you were filming like, look, there's no driver.
Yes. And thank you to all the fans for being so mean because that
They saved
got
your
through
life
to me.
too,
Yeah. I did tell you guys, I saved someone's life once through my cruelty. This is a true story. My friend Tibby, who was in Cash Cab with me, this is years ago, so I'm sorry if I'm telling a story out of school. She was in a very bad way and she wanted to commit self-harm. So there was only a bottle of Manischewitz in the house to wash everything down. And she thought to herself, if I do this, Michael will never let me hear the end of it. Which is true. So she waited a day and her husband found her and now she's happy, healthy. And
Wow.
Like that. So
Wow.
God
Glad
bless.
to hear it. Glad to hear it.
Wow.
What, you would like haunt her soul?
No, I
with
would
mockery?
I would just stand up about it. I mean, it's funny.
That
I mean,
would be my
is that
legacy.
is the most kosher suicide that's ever happened.
That's a good name for a book.
Oof.
Yeah. So trolling can save
let's-
lives.
It can. It
Let's
has.
talk about these Waymos. Here, you know why they got trashed? It's because you can summon them
Right.
and they won't fight back.
Yeah.
So my assumption is either these cars were driving down the street and someone walked in front of it and it just stops.
Sure.
And then everyone just says, there's no one who can stop us, no one who can report us, and they got destroyed. I wouldn't be surprised if someone actually called one, ordered it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, their record, they're going to be on file having done it, and they're going to say, it wasn't me who did it. They're going to say, I was calling a Waymo to get a ride, and then everyone else attacked it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Lazy arsonists.
Yeah. Bring the car to me. Instead of me going in the car comes to me.
What happened?
It's
to
the future.
People?
This is
There was a really great point made about Waymo. I saw on X that's they're bad to use for one reason. They are the bottom tier of like the bottom class in traffic. Whenever you call a Waymo, it'll say it's 7 minutes away and it'll take 20. Why? Because
I've never had that. Really?
people will walk in front of it.
That's not my experience in Austin.
So in LA, we used Waymo I think 3 or 4 times, and they were always longer than it would say. It would be like 7 minutes out, and then it would take 15 minutes.
I've never had that happen once in Austin.
Well, you know, LA.
Yeah,
What the
I'm
argument
already
is
getting data.
is that when people see a Waymo and they want to jaywalk, they'll just keep going because they know the Waymo will stop. When Waymo wants to turn left, okay. Most people don't know this. I could be wrong, but my understanding is when you're turning left at an intersection, it's illegal to pull into the center of the intersection. You're supposed to wait in the lane until you have an opportunity to go.
Yep.
Everybody pulls into the middle of the lane so that 3 cars go and then it turns yellow and 3 cars will turn left. Waymo will not. Waymo will stay in the left turn lane and then people will keep blowing past it. And if they're blowing the yellow light, the light will turn red and the Waymo will not go. So we were standing at an intersection. We were standing on, there was an intersection and we were about, half block down. And I'm like, there's the Waymo. And it was like 2 or 3 lights and it wouldn't turn left. Because human drivers were blowing, they would jump through the light at yellow at the last minute and the Waymo couldn't make the turn.
It's interesting if it's how it behaves differently in different cities. And it's also because of the drivers in those cities.
That's right.
Yeah, the way it's learning.
Yeah.
From its surroundings. Yeah.
However, the argument is that once they make it illegal to drive cars,
Which they would want to do.
and they're actively trying and they want to get to that point,
Yes.
it's going to be the best driving experience. No, zero traffic. There will never be traffic ever again. All self-driving cars will communicate with each other. So if there's 1 million people on the highway, all the cars can move forward and backwards at the exact same time without fear of collision. And when you're entering the highway, it will reduce all the cars by 1 mile an hour in the back and speed up the ones by a mile an hour, creating spaces.
Mm-hmm.
That's the argument. As for now, you've got a bunch of cars that suck.
I'm gonna have a horse and carriage.
I don't think they suck. I mean, my experience has been very, very different.
In Austin?
Yes, I'll wait.
When they drop you off, do they like pull into parking lots? Do they?
I'll tell you my bad Waymo experiences. I've had a couple of bad ones, okay? And it's kind of interesting because it shows how like when you have AI, it's smart but also stupid.
Yes.
I think when AI was first started, they tried to get it to learn things. They fed it the encyclopedia, and one of the deductions was that everyone born before 1700 was famous, which makes logical sense, right? But like you can see how I got to that conclusion.
Yeah, of course.
So the Waymo did. I've had 2 kind of not good experiences. I'm using that term very loosely. One is it was stopping across the street from the location, so it looped around the whole block to make that left turn so it could meet in front of me. It wouldn't recognize that I'm just across the street. Another time, someone left the Waymo, left the door open, and it couldn't recognize that the trip was completed. So I had to get in, call someone. They made me leave. They can't reset it if I'm inside.
Yeah.
They're talking to me through the machine. I'm like, I can't hear you. The window's closed. And it went back to where I first started, which was a block away. So, but these are little quirks that I think will be finished with.
Remember that guy who was in the parking lot going in circles screaming?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. This is the kind of thing, like the fact that it's as good as it is now, I think it's kind of miraculous. Like when you look at a video game or social media site, when you have the beta testing, it's rarely this solid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what is cool though is that when you're in the Waymo.
Okay, that's fair.
When you're in the Waymo on the screen, because of all the sensors, it shows you all the traffic.
Yeah.
But other Waymo vehicles are they're highlighted, they're different because it knows them. And I was like, once every car is on the grid or the network, the way they've described it, their end vision, not Waymo specifically, but the the self-driving car industry. Everyone will have an Uber app or Lyft or whatever. Each will have a fleet. All the cars from every company communicate with each other. No one will own cars. You'll simply walk outside and you'll be like, I need to go to the store, and you'll hit a button. And within a minute, the car arrives because there's so many cars everywhere, all moving back left to right. It will just pull up, pick you up, and take you where you want to go and drop you off.
How would you feel about
They've actually talked about, get this, self-driving cars with pods, and the pods are transferable. I think this was Mitsubishi, maybe. I can't remember which company. They said you can call a van will come and pull up to your house. You'll load your luggage into the van. It'll drive up. Then it will transport the pod of the van onto a track, which will be pulled by a train up to an airport where the pod will then slide into a plane, and the plane will take off to bring you to your next destination. I don't know that we get there, modular vehicle transport. Self-driving cars already happening.
But I think if we were 5 years ago, we could not have predicted Waymo being as successful as it is now in 5 years.
When was the first time
Well-
that you were in a self-driving car?
When I had
Was there a month ago?
the breathing problem, so this is a few months ago.
No, the first time.
This was the first
For
time.
like a Tesla as well?
Oh no, sorry, I was
Full
in a
self-drive.
Tesla is
I
nothing
apologize.
compared to Waymo.
No,
Tesla,
Tesla's self-driving. That
it is.
pretty
But
slick.
I'm going to tell you, as an owner of several Teslas, you cannot compare Waymo to a self-driving Tesla.
right?
Why do you think that?
I have a Honda that can self-drive,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got what they call lane assist.
Yeah.
So you go on the highway, you press the button, take your hands off the wheel, it'll go. Tesla's a little better than that. It'll actually stop. It'll turn at lights. Waymo has all of the sensors. Like Tesla can self-drive in a limited capacity with you sitting in the driver's seat, looking forward. But often, like in rain, it disables.
Yeah.
There's numerous instances where it's almost slammed me into vehicles, which is, I'm not kidding. I was in Hagerstown, Maryland, and I was like, I always just press auto drive and then I sit. I got within 2 inches of a car on auto drive and I just jammed the wheel to the left to dodge and went into the wrong, like the oncoming traffic. There was no traffic coming towards me, but I had to go in the other lane to dodge it. And then it goes boom, boom, like a thing pops on the screen saying, you disabled auto drive. What happened?
Hold on. Is it possible that it wasn't working well because there's an Asian driver?
It could be. The AI is like, ooh, this guy.
I can tell. He's passing, but I know.
In my Tesla, there's a highway out here, and it's a state highway that has, I think it's like 4 lanes on each side.
Okay.
It's pretty big. If you want to turn left, you have to pull into the median and stop. I'm going 70 miles an hour on auto drive. This is when my wife is driving, and it slammed the brakes on in the middle of the highway because a truck was sitting in the median.
Oh wow, interesting. Okay.
And it panicked and thought
Yeah,
a
yeah,
car.
yeah,
It did. There's also issues with rural areas where it, like, I scraped a tree because it couldn't tell a tree was there in the dark. There's also a part of the road out here that has collapsed about a foot because it's, you know, we're in the mountains of, you know, Appalachia or whatever, so they're not real big, but they're mountains. And so there's an area by us that goes to a steep drop off, and the road on the right side has crumbled a little bit, and it fell into it.
Oh, really?
And it went boom, and then flipped them. I was like, because it can't see that.
Okay.
Waymo cars have, what do they have? They have sonar, lidar. They've got
What's lidar?
laser, right?
Oh, is that right? Bless you, Phil.
The text to ground.
Light? I don't know.
Thank you.
I think it's light. Then there's these cameras are built into the frame, these massive cameras all over the place. Tesla's, my understanding, used to have sonar, and then Elon disabled it, saying cameras are better. Yeah, well, when it's raining, I can't self-drive. Waymo is going to be able to drive in the rain, but this is the big challenge because I'll be driving, it'll be raining, it'll say self-driving has been degraded, and then it'll just turn off abruptly, boom, boom, and shut off.
You want to hear us? So sometimes I'm sure everyone in this room has had brain farts, and you realize something. You're like, wait a minute, that was stupid. I've been using Waymo for months. With in Austin, it's just luck of the draw. It's integrated into Lyft.
Really?
Yeah, you can't use.
Whoa.
I can't just pick Waymo if I want it.
In LA, I had to I had to download the Waymo.
It'll say like, "Hey, you've also matched with the Waymo." It's usually a few minutes more, and I'm like, "Oh, yes." I hit yes so hard my finger breaks, and it took me like a couple of months to realize because I always sit in the passenger seat. It took me a couple months to realize. Wait a minute, my backpack from the gym. I don't have to put it between my legs. I could put it in the driver's seat because no one's there. And I'm so used to like you're the passenger seat. You put your book bag on your feet. Yeah, I was very proud of myself for that one.
Let's jump to this next story, ladies and gentlemen. We have the website No Kings. I
That
wonder.
sounds about right, Phil. I like the sound of that.
They've got rallies planned for the 14th. There are thousands that are set up. This is so. I think we have formally 6 official events. You've got.
Can we also agree before I'm sorry to interrupt you, but these are completely astroturfed.
Yes,
Can we all agree on that? Oh
and that's where I'm getting.
Okay, sorry.
You've got Philly.
I apologize.
You've got Charlotte. You've got Atlanta, Chicago. You've got Houston, and
Is that Charlottesville you said or Charlotte? Okay, I thought it said no.
Charles
Okay, you're right.
2.0.
and you've got No Kings Phoenix. But all of these smaller events, Truckee. Look at that one.
Wait, what's no kings mean in this context?
Trump.
Oh, for
So they're planning thousands. They even have some in Canada. Here's one in Ottawa.
they don't have kings in Mexico, do they? Not anymore.
Do they have any events in Mexico? They do. Yes. Wow. No Kings, Ensenada, Mexico.
What is this even? I'm
just-
sorry,
It's all leftist garbage.
but what is it? I'm sorry.
Whoa, they got
wait,
all
hold on,
over
hold on. I
Mexico.
gotta say one more
Really
thing.
should be no dad.
Look at this.
I gotta say something. In all seriousness,
Oaxaca.
going from literally Hitler to you're kind of a king, that's kind of an upgrade.
Check this out. So they've got many in Mexico. They've got Mexico City. They've got I can't pronounce
No
it.
tyrants.
What? How do you say that?
That sounds cool.
Ajijic. Ajijic.
I don't know.
It's Ajijic. Malice. So here's the great and Puerto Rico. Don't forget
Nothing in
Puerto Rico.
Cuba though.
Nothing in Cuba. I wonder if there's any
Wait,
else.
there was
in,
one in the middle, no, in South America.
what? Where?
That's the
Oh,
lake.
sorry.
It's a lake.
That's like Titicaca.
Oh, all over Europe.
Oh, nice.
Oh, surprisingly,
Who-
all over Western Europe too.
Listen, I know that what they're doing is they're creating these as hubs so that anybody who wants to participate can, and they're sending it to activists in the region to inform other activists. The event.
And also you get their email addresses and you get
But here's the question. This is remarkably expensive to organize mass protests in several countries, 4 different countries, thousands across the United States, it appears. This is institutional level organizing for anti-Trump protests.
You know who is probably behind this? Soros.
Alex?
Yeah,
There's gotta be Soros money. I bet you.
Probably.
yeah. I mean, that's generally the guy that's
Vegas.
This is
involved with
completely
these.
astroturf. This is very corporate. This is not organic.
Right. It's not the yellow vests.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah.
They did their thing, and that felt organic.
But people show up to these things.
But okay,
They do.
I feel. I'm sorry. I'm asking a dumb question, and I apologize in advance. Not because it's dumb. The question. The answer is going to be dumb. Is there a point that no one should ever be deported from anywhere?
No, their point is they
Yes.
just want. You think it is?
When we had a liberal woman on the show,
You mean Phil?
no.
Excuse me.
She said that one of the things that Trump did that's bad was that he forced trans people to put their gender marker on their passports, meaning if they travel to other countries, they'll be killed. And I said, what right does an American have to lie on documents to enter a foreign country in violation of their laws? And she said they have the liberty to do so. The actual view of these liberals, which is just an amorphous term for the left ideology, is that we have a right to enter any country we want, and anybody has a right to enter our country whenever they want, and no one can be removed.
I think the title "No Kings"
Oh my
says a lot because it's like I think these riots are for immigrants as much as BLM riots were for Black lives.
It says
It's an excuse to
Do you know
be
what?
anti-Trump.
I'm sorry. I got to give these people credit. This is really smart because this is as close I've seen in the last 10 years to lefties draping themselves in the American flag. Because this is the kind of thing patriots say.
Yeah.
Like that is like right wing.
Well, they're also reportedly
slogan.
right now. The rumor going around is that in LA, organizations are handing out American flags to protesters because they understand the Mexican flag is very bad.
I had Destiny on my show, and one of the smartest things he said, it goes, "It's absolutely insane that Democrats don't wave the American flag. The best country on earth. This alienates voters. What the hell are you thinking?" And he's absolutely correct.
Yeah, I mean, it alienates your average normie American that doesn't want to be a self-hating person.
To the nth degree.
Yeah, like you cannot expect to say, hey, your country has done all of these bad things to a normal person that just goes to work and does normie stuff, right? And then expect them to be like, oh, you're right. Let me, get the cat of nine tails and whip myself and feel bad and I should change everything in my life. You're not going to get normal people to do that. They're going to say, F you, I'm going to go do whatever it is that I want to do with my family, my friends, whatever.
And I remember it was 2008, 2012. There was a rumor that Michelle Obama's like thesis or something like that had some kind of anti-American stuff. And she came out at the Democratic convention and she opened her speech with, "My name is Michelle Obama and I love America." Like she couldn't wait to drape herself on the flag, and they won.
Right.
Yes.
That's the winning move.
They're great at lying.
They don't love America though.
Right.
They love their version. I disagree. I think Michelle Obama loves her. America's done her very well. She loves her vision of America.
She says she's a victim though.
You could be a victim, and you could. What if you're a
I
bad
don't-
wife?
But she makes it sound like America has victimized her. So I
I
don't
don't-
know if she really.
I
loves the country.
think I'll defend her. I'm sure being first lady to that presidency was not a fun experience for her.
especially as a trans person.
I don't think she did not seem to be enjoying herself.
No, no.
I don't imagine that very, very many first ladies will, in the future, will enjoy that.
I think
Jill had
Melania
fun.
likes it. I think Jill loved
Think
it. Jill loved
She was
it.
president.
Jill was.
Jill loved
Yeah,
it.
Jill was
Hillary
Jill's
loved it.
president.
Jill was
Hillary loved it. Nancy Reagan loved it.
Oh, yeah, Hillary for
It's
sure.
a mix.
That's back in the day. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to become. The reason I say that is I think it's going to become more and more difficult for the spouse of the president to endure the scrutiny that social media puts on.
And especially because they have to bite their tongue because they're not elected. I agree with you, Phil.
Which is why Melania. I mean, Melania doesn't spend as much time in the White House this time as she did the first time, and a lot of it is because of the scrutiny that people put on you. And it goes, for the left and the right. I'm sure that people can say, oh, Melania got it worse than Michelle. And I would actually say I don't think Melania has gotten it worse than Michelle.
Should we check on the book listing?
Yes,
Do
we
we
should.
rank? Should we look?
Pull it up, see what you got. While you're doing that, I've got the toolkit for this event. They're saying what to know. They say you want to register to be a host. Don't register an event in D.C. They're concerned about Trump's upcoming military parade and they don't want to conflict with it, which is, I think, the funniest thing imagined about their No Kings protest. Like, whoa, guys, we're not actually going to protest Trump's event. That'd be protesting a king. Yeah. He's a king, but we'll protest somewhere else.
Let the king have his parade.
Yeah.
We have one review, and I want to thank this person.
5 out of 5.
The review said 5 out of 5, and God bless you, whoever you are. I wish you gave me your name because I would have followed. They go, this book did not adequately explain why I was blocked on X. So if I knew who this was, I would not only unblock you, I would follow you. But head over to notsickofwinning.com and let's see if we get this book to rank.
That's great.
But I'm not getting a number at all for now.
That's hilarious.
That is hilarious.
I hope
Sorry,
they reach
Tim,
out and get a follow back.
That's a great review.
It's a great review. I want to give the person
Do you know where you're at or how many?
Doesn't give me a number, no.
Doesn't say.
Is there an audiobook or
No, not
again,
Everybody, you got to go to notsickofwinning.com.
.com.
Buy the book. I'm impressed. 100 chapters outlining each day of Trump's presidency, and you said they're all good.
All in a row.
Not a single bad day.
The worst day that was I have in there because I had to stretch for this one was when they gave out the Epstein files.
Oh,
That's rough.
But
still, it was a good day.
it was a good day because at least it recognized that it's still on his mind. So that was the one where I had to stretch. But everything else, it was win after win after win. We forget. Remember, I had this tweet. I go, I'm over Trump. It's been 2 days and no judge has been arrested. Because there were like 2 judges in 2 days. It was crazy.
It's
It's really it's scary in a sense, but not really. The Democrats understand something about controlling stupid people for power, that there is a reality that stupid people want to be controlled, or at the very least, they're unwilling to break from the ideology.
Henry H.L. Mencken, I quote this all the time, said 100 years ago, the average man does not want to be free. He simply wants to be safe.
Yeah.
And Fox, for weeks, has been like, the Democrats are dead. There's no way coming back. I'm like, it's not even the first quarter of his term. This is the oldest political party on earth. If you just look today, I ratioed.
It's the oldest political party on earth?
Yes, the Democratic Party.
Really?
Yes, and that doesn't happen by accident.
No, but you mean in America? Like, no
On
other...
Earth. Yes, the oldest continuous. Like, there's other parties that existed before, but they're all dead.
Wow.
So
no
that
one's
doesn't-
persisted?
No one's persisted like the Democratic Party, and that doesn't happen by accident. And I just saw this today. They launched a new. Go look it up. They launched a new live stream on their YouTube, and they went from having Officer Harris, who is a mentally handicapped biracial woman. The woman running it, who's their communications director, is an Aryan superwoman. You would think she comes from an alt-right meme. It's insane. I'm like, do I have to hide in an attic? Because the second DEI is a problem for them, they're going to throw people under the bus and search for those suburban white votes.
They're good at rebranding.
They're very good at
and they know that their base is susceptible to that.
The second oldest party is
the Biden party,
Conservative UK Party.
the Tories.
Descended from the Tories. So while technically, I was thinking right away, like, wouldn't the Tories be? But
They're the 1830s, I think, right?
the Tories are considered to have become defunct around 1834, evolving into the Conservative Party, which was formally founded in 1834.
Yeah.
So it's similar, but in that respect, the Democratic Party is similar. I love this. Do you know what preceded the Democratic and the Republican parties?
It was the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans.
The Democratic Republican Party.
Yeah, the Jeffersons. Yeah.
That's funny. And they were like, let's cut it in half and go to war with each other for hundreds of years.
Well, they did because
I know.
it was the era of good feelings. The Federalists were destroyed, and then you had the two wings. This is the other thing that's really kind of drives me crazy about conservative media. Where like we have to defeat the Democrats. Like, you think the Democratic Party goes away? All those lefty voters are just going to start voting pro-life.
Right.
There's still millions of them. What are you going to do? They're still going to vote.
Yes,
you don't
but
like.
in a first past the post voting system, the effective winning strategy is to create 6 different political parties and then neatly sort them and make them fight each other.
Sure.
Then you can never lose, even if you have a minority government.
Right. And we see that in UK to some extent.
So there's going to be, open borders leftists, and there's going to be Bernie Sanders national capitalists. It's the World Socialist website called Bernie Sanders a nationalist capitalist.
Yeah.
Because he believes that we should close the borders and that workers can make money. And they were like, no, he's wrong. So you make those leftists fight each other. They form 2 different factions. Now you only need 33% to win.
Do you know what else I think is going to start happening? I think increasingly the LGBT coalition is going to fall apart.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because of the trans issue.
These gay men, who many of them are high testosterone, even either naturally or through pharmaceutical means, are increasingly going to be like, I have nothing to do with this.
Yep.
And they all have a lot of money because they don't have kids, and they have a lot of clout because a lot of times they're very powerful. Watch, that's going to happen.
Yeah. That's something that we've talked about a lot is the fact that one of the things that the left has done is tried to tell regular American men, hey, you have to accept that this man that is a man is telling you that they're a woman. You not only have to accept that, if you don't accept it and embrace it and behave as if they are a woman, that might include dating them, then you are a bigot.
You had your turn.
Yeah.
Now you have to listen to
It
us.
is, and you were never going to get people to get on board with that.
Gay men are the new straight males.
What?
It's like gay men are the new straight males to the Democratic Party, just like Larry Elder was the blackface of
Spoken like a
supremacy.
true invert.
But look,
Something I learned tonight. Thank you.
women might assent to that, but men are not going to.
Yeah.
Like
Didn't-
women
don't-
might be like,
It's
well,
certainly not
Don't you
be
know
behind the privacy
anything,
of the
you
ballot-
guys?
of the ballot box? What?
yes.
You want to read that, Michael? No?
I don't.
Who wants to read it?
Straight men are the
No,
white-
no, no.
not
But,
Get it right, Phil.
Phil can't read. Phil can't
Oh,
read.
my bad. Straight black men are the white people of black people.
did you
It
not know that?
feels counterintuitive to suggest that straight black men as a whole possess any sort of privilege. But
This is from 2017.
Wait, can I
do.
actually make a correction?
This is the root.
It would be straight black women, because straight black women are more successful than straight black men. They go to college at higher rates. They earn more income. So if you're going to say someone's the white people, black people, it'd be straight black women.
No, because men are oppressors. It doesn't matter if they're more
It
successful.
doesn't say men. It says white people.
Yes,
So
women can't be oppressors.
do they mean oppressors? Or do they mean successful?
This is what they're talking about. Talking about privilege.
Oh Jesus.
the
Right.
white people of black
No,
people.
but still, straight black women have the most privilege. Who has the most privilege?
Women can't have more privilege than men. Therefore, men are always going to be the oppressor.
Because the man is
Even though they go to they're incarcerated. I mean, if you look at black men going to jail versus black women, it's
Now, hold on.
it doesn't
If
matter.
the straight black man later comes to decide that he is a woman, now he is no longer a white person.
I think you might be incorrect, because in black communities that stuff doesn't fly. They're the least pro-trans, least pro-gay.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
Oh, you go to Chicago and watch these Snapchats where one guy calls the other guy gay and see what happens. Like they go and shoot buildings up. It's crazy. They don't. It's wild that the left wants to inject that into the black community, and they ain't having it.
The black people are not inherently by nature they're not any more inherently Democrat than white people are.
They might be more Democrat, but they're not progressives in the
not.
college sense.
That's true. That's
It's
true.
very much a white phenomenon. I remember I used to watch Kathy Griffin's show when it was funny, and this is when gay marriage was on the ballot in California.
Yeah.
But it was like, do you want to not ban gay? It was like worded weird. And she knocked at this black lady's house, like middle class woman. And the woman's like, no, I'm against. She goes, oh, she's like, people are confused because it's worded weird. She goes, I'm not confused. I'm against it. And she closed the door in Kathy's face. Kathy moves to kick the door. I'm like, the condescension
Yeah.
of this woman who has a job, a nice house, and you're talking to her like she's Phil who doesn't know how to read.
It's like remember that viral video that went around at the beginning of them doing the vaccine mandates, and they went around to like a lot of black neighborhoods. And they
Yeah.
were like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And they were like, what? Why? That's the
Tuskegee?
science. Right. Yeah. They don't know about that. I mean, the black neighborhoods
Right.
do, but the person with the microphone does not.
And also you remember 5 years ago we were told Monsanto's going to kill us all, and now you're saying Monsanto's our savior. Stick to the script.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
Let's
I mean,
jump-
go ahead.
Let's jump to the next story from Politico.
I love this.
Quote, You essentially destroyed any chance I have. DNC chair told David Hogg in private meeting. And what they omit from the headline is that apparently he was on the verge of tears. Should we play this?
Oh, we got to play it.
And I'll say, look, it has plenty of warts, and we're all trying to change those for sure. But the longer we continue this fight, the harder it is for us to actually do what we all want to do, which is make a difference in this country again. So I deeply respect you, David. I too was looking forward to working with you.
We got to break this down. I'm sorry. We got to break this down step by step.